the mid-1800s, New York and its waterfront blossomed. Just listen to the great American poet, Walt Whitman. His work, Crossing Brooklyn Ferry, describes a trip across the East River from the exact same spot.
In the ebb with the ebb tide, frolic on, crested and scallop-edged waves, gorgeous clouds in the sunset, drench with your splendor, stand up, beautiful hills of Brooklyn. Imagine riding the waters during Whitman's lifetime. This ferry would be weaving through a dense traffic of sailing vessels and steamships of all sizes. No wonder Whitman found it so exciting. The design of the bridge is yet another way in which the waters of New York connect the city to the world and forge bonds within the metropolis and indeed all of urban America. On our right in Brooklyn is an up-and-coming neighborhood known as Dumbo, which stands for Down Under the Manhattan Bridge Overpass. Here are some of the best examples of warehouses making up the old Great Wall of Brooklyn. And these are now in a prime location for redevelopment. And of course, rising overhead is the Manhattan Bridge itself. It opened about 25 years after the Brooklyn Bridge, and it connects Brooklyn with Canal Street in Manhattan's Chinatown. China, but also from Vietnam and other parts of Southeast Asia. Just north of Chinatown is the Lower East Side, historically one of the greatest magnets for the population. Again, Ken Jackson.
This was a neighborhood that had evolved over the 20th century. It was crowded neighborhood in the world. More crowded than anywhere in Calcutta or Bombay. More crowded than any place in London or Prague. More crowded than any place in Chicago or Buffalo or anything else. This was the quintessential urban immigrant ethnic neighborhood, filled originally with Germans and Irish, and especially with Jews from the 1890s to the early parts of the 20th century, later with Latinos and the Chinese and yet other groups. That has been the real gateway to America, the kind of gateway you can't see from a ship.
Also in the Lower East Side is the Tenement Museum, an affiliated site of the National Park Service. It's a great place to find out more about the neighborhood's vital history. River, one of the richest historical areas on the harbor and in all of America.
Today the river moves past a bustling modern cityscape, and it's all here because of the natural splendors of New York Harbor and its history as a truly amazing commercial port.
Why are all these tall commercial buildings here?
Steve Lace of the National Park Service.
Why are they right tucked so closely together down here at the southern tip of Manhattan Island, wedged in between the East River and the Hudson River? And the answer, of course, is that this is where the world began, the world of American commerce.
Yes.
American finance.
These skyscrapers are the most recent chapter in a fascinating story of global trade. For thousands of years, this area of Lower Manhattan provided a seasonal home to the Lenni-Lenape Indians. When the first Dutch settlers arrived in the 1600s, the Lenape began trading beaver furs for blankets and metals when they only meant to grant land use rights. But the Dutch set up a permanent settlement, which they called New Amsterdam. They came to the New World for one thing, to make money, and the harbor was the perfect place for this.
Acho que é